All right, so here we are on our lesson 9, and we just went through and used our fraction strips to model the math. So I'm going to go ahead, just do what I always do, April 20th. We're going to work on a few of our problems. We're going to do our model the math, work on a few of our problems, and then I'm going to ask you to pause your video and continue working on your independent practice problems. And I'm going to post a picture of our key. So remember how I used to put answers up on the board, and then I would put 1 or 2 answers that weren't actually on the list. And you could check off those answers as you go to make sure you were working in the right vein. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for you as well. And then tomorrow, so if you need extra practice, the homework is here for you to practice with. And I'm going to post a key for the homework tomorrow as well. And that will kind of be our schedule, how we work. So you know that 6 divided by 3 means you take 6 objects and you divide them into 3 equal groups. That would be 2 in each group. Can you think of division with the unit fractions in the same way? A unit fraction is just a fraction with a numerator of 1. So it's just a whole number over 1. So if Remy has 2 gallons of lemonade and she needs to divide them into 1/4 gallon containers, how many 1/4 gallon containers would she make? So I'm going to go ahead and make my 2 units. You can use your fraction tiles, or you can draw a bar diagram. And we're going to cut them into 1/4 pieces. And how many 1/4 pieces would she have? So they're right down here. And she would get how many tiles? 8. So 2 divided by 1/4 is 8. Remy will need 8 containers. We can do the same thing for 1/5. You're dividing it by 2. So we're going to take our 1/5 1/5 of our amount, and we're going to divide it into 2 equal groups. And I don't think I gave you a fraction tile this big, but we can probably figure this out because we're pretty good. If we cut 1/5 in half, we would get 1/10. What fraction tile did you replace? Well, we placed it with 1/10. And so how many 1/10 fraction tiles does it take to equal 1/5? It took 2. All right, so let's do our flip and multiply. 1/5 divided by 2. And whenever we're talking fractions and we have a whole number, and we're going to flip and multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 2 is 10. So if I was to cut my 1/5 piece in half, I would end up getting 1/10 of a piece. All right, so let's look at our talk about it. Now remember, when we're doing our talk about it, since we're doing it online, it's really going to be important that you actually answer the question, either turn. I know if you're the Bunch Huttons, you can just turn to each other and answer, or Ryan to Kayla, you can just answer out loud. So just pretend like I have my popsicle sticks here and I'm just calling on you. When a whole number greater than 1 is divided by a unit fraction less than 1, the quotient is always greater than the dividend. Okay, so we're dividing a whole number by a fraction that is smaller. The quotient, or your answer, is always greater, bigger than the number you divided by. So let's go back to our tiles and see what we found. We divide a whole number greater than 1. So think about when we had 2 of these. The answer is going to be bigger than what we divide. So if we had 2 holes and we cut 2 of the holes into halves, how many halves did we make? 2 divided by 4 was what? Oh, I said half. 4. We got 4 pieces. We just solved that one. All right, so is my quotient 4 bigger than my dividend? Aha. Yes, it will be. 2 divided by 1/2 equals 4. 4 is definitely bigger than a half. When a unit fraction is less than 1 and it's divided by a whole number, the quotient is always greater than the dividend. When we take a fraction less than 1 and divide it by a whole number that is bigger than 1, the quotient or answer will be greater than the dividend. True or false? False. The quotient will be less than the dividend. All right, so we're going to practice a couple of problems on the other page like we always do. We're going to do 3, 5, and 7, and then I'm going to let you practice the other ones as well as the questions on the back on your own, and I'll give you that key where you can look at it. All right, so either using your fraction strips or drawing your picture, and then I'm going to do both strategies. So I'm not only going to use our fraction strips, I'm going to also use our mathematical algorithm. All right, so we're going to take 3, and we're going to cut our 3 into thirds. How many pieces do we get? 9. 3 over 1 divided by 1/3. Flip and multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. All right, I'm going to take 4 holes. I'm going to cut all of my 4 holes in half. Notice that I'm using little dotted lines to show that it's fractions. How many groups of a half do I have? 8. Now we're going to show our math. Flip and multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. Uh-oh. Now we're going to do a third. So everyone make your hole. Cut it into 3 parts because this is a third. Now I need to cut my third into fourths. And what would 1 piece be worth? All right, so let's show the math. 1/3 We gotta write it over 1, because if I have a fraction, whole numbers need to be over 1. Flip and multiply. Let's go ahead and do number 9 as well. We're going to take a third, and we're going to cut all of our thirds in half into 2 pieces. What is 1 piece worth if I cut them all in half? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each piece is worth a 6. All right. Flip and multiply. And our answer is 1/6. All right, go ahead and stop at this point, and this is our lesson for today. So the expectation is that you're working to complete your ERQ problems from the last week, if you haven't already finished them. And again, I'm going to post a video later in the week, probably Wednesday, Thursday, that gives you some support with that if you need a little more help. Those are due on Friday. For today, your practice problems, you have these 4, plus 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to work on your practice problems, and then if you need additional practice, you're going to work on your homework. And if you open up the document, I'm going to put it online, it'll have a key, but I want to remind you that the key, well, first off, I won't do a key for these, right? But you're going to have 1 or 2 extra answers in there, which means a couple won't fit. That way you have to work all the way down to the last problem. You can't just wait and pick the last answer and write it on the last problem. And then if you need additional practice, you're going to work on your homework, and I'll post a picture of your homework later in the week. All right, everyone have a great day. It was great learning with you. Don't forget that I am going to be on Zoom. I tentatively put down 10 o'clock, but we'll see if that time doesn't work. But we'll try to meet at least once a day on Zoom. All right, have a good one.